Gunfire echoes through the hills of North Kivu. Columns of smoke rise over Goma. Families run through the mud, clutching what little they can carry, because the rebel group known as M23 is on the move again, and with it, one of Africa's most fragile political relationships collapsing all over again. Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo share a border, a lake, and a history that never seems to end. On paper, they're trading partners, members of the same regional bloc. But beneath the signatures and photo ops lies something older: mistrust, fear, and unfinished business from wars that never truly stopped. But to understand how we got here, how an alliance built in liberation turned into a rivalry fueled by profit and paranoia, we have to go back. Not to last year, not even to the last decade, but to the ashes of 1994. When the Rwandan genocide ended, more than 2 million people fled into what was then called Zaire. Among them were the same militias responsible for the killings. They crossed the border carrying rifles, machetes, and hate. From those forests, they launched attacks back into Rwanda. Paul Kagame, then the leader of Rwanda's new government, saw this as an existential threat. So in 1996, Rwandan and Ugandan troops crossed into Zaire, toppling the longtime dictator Mobutu Sese Seko. They replaced him with Laurent Desire Kabila, a rebel leader who had fought his way across the country with their support. For a moment, Rwanda and the newly renamed Democratic Republic of the Congo were brothers in victory, two revolutions shaking off the ghosts of colonialism. But in Central Africa, alliances rarely outlast ambition. 2 years later, Laurent Kabila expelled the same Rwandan troops who helped him seize power. Kigali struck back, sending forces eastward again, and what followed became known as the Second Congo War. 7 nations were pulled into the fighting. Millions of civilians died from bullets, from hunger, from disease. By the time the guns fell silent, nothing had really been settled. Rwanda had secured influence in Congo's east, and the region's mineral wealth, gold, tin, coltan, cobalt, had become both a blessing and a curse. Whoever controlled the mines controlled the money, and whoever controlled the money controlled the war. In the years that followed, new presidents rose in Kinshasa, and new promises were made. Joseph Kabila, Laurent's son, tried to rebuild what was left of the country. Paul Kagame was praised internationally as a visionary leader, rebuilding Rwanda into a model of order and discipline. But along their shared border, militias never disarmed. One of those groups, made up of former rebels loyal to Rwanda, would later call itself the March 23rd Movement, or M23. They accused Congo's government of breaking a peace agreement that promised to integrate them into the army. In 2012, M23 seized Goma, one of Congo's largest cities. The United Nations accused Rwanda of backing the rebellion. Kigali denied it. For ordinary Congolese people, it didn't matter who was right. Another war meant another wave of displacement, another generation growing up in camps. By 2013, M23 had been pushed back. The fighters fled into Rwanda and Uganda. Peace returned, or so the headlines said. But in eastern Congo, peace is a pause, never a conclusion. Fast forward to 2021. Felix Tshisekedi, Congo's new president, was trying to reset relations with Paul Kagame. The two men smiled for cameras at regional summits. They promised cooperation, trade, and security coordination. But beneath those smiles, mistrust still simmered. Late that year, M23 returned, stronger, better armed, and far more organized than ever before. Within months, the group had captured key towns across North Kivu: Rutshuru, Bunagana, and Kiwanja. Thousands fled, and the United Nations again accused Rwanda of providing weapons, training, and direct military support. Kigali, again, denied it. Congo accused Rwanda of trying to annex its mineral-rich eastern provinces. Rwanda responded by accusing Congo of harboring the FDLR, a Hutu militia with ties to the 1994 genocide. Both governments framed their actions as self-defense, but the result was the same: another humanitarian crisis, another generation uprooted. By mid-2025, M23 fighters had once again reached the outskirts of Goma. Congo's army, fractured and underfunded, struggled to hold the line. Accusations of Rwandan involvement reached new levels. Diplomats called for calm, but the tension was already spilling over. 7 million people are now displaced across Congo, one of the largest humanitarian crises on Earth. The conflict has destroyed homes, families, and futures. Yet it continues to receive only a fraction of the world's attention. At the heart of it all are the minerals that make modern life possible: cobalt, coltan, gold. The minerals inside your smartphone, your laptop, your electric car. Each one of those minerals has passed through conflict zones, smuggling routes, and armed checkpoints before it reached a factory. Rwanda says it's defending its borders from genocidal militias. Congo says Rwanda is profiting from its instability. Both are partly right and both are deeply wrong. Because in truth, this war isn't just about ideology, it's about economics. It's about who gets to profit from pain. Kigali's polished streets and gleaming skyscrapers are a symbol of post-genocide recovery. But critics argue that some of that prosperity is built on minerals smuggled out of Congo. And Kinshasa, for all its defiance, has failed for decades to govern the vast territories of its east. Western governments have called for peace. The United States and France have urged restraint, but behind closed doors, their concerns are economic. They want stability, not justice, because instability threatens global supply chains. In June 2025, Rwanda and Congo signed a new framework for peace in Washington. It promised troop withdrawals, joint patrols, and disarmament of M23, but the deal excluded the very group at the center of the war. It was peace without accountability, a document written to calm investors rather than civilians. M23 never fully disarmed. Rwanda never admitted involvement, and Congo never regained control of its eastern provinces. The ceasefire was a pause between battles, not an end to them. Diplomats talk about dialogue, but in Kinshasa, they no longer believe Rwanda wants peace. In Kigali, they no longer believe Congo can govern itself. Each side is preparing for the next round of conflict while pretending to negotiate the last one. For the people living between these two countries, borders are theoretical. A farmer might sleep in Congo and sell his harvest in Rwanda. A trader might pay taxes to 3 different militias before reaching a market. Survival requires crossing invisible lines that governments keep redrawing. This isn't just a border dispute. It's a regional collapse, an unraveling of trust between two nations that once stood shoulder to shoulder. Rwanda and Congo once overthrew a dictator together. Today, they accuse each other of becoming one. Peace deals mean little. Borders mean less. Trust means absolutely nothing. What began as an alliance born from liberation has become a rivalry built on fear, greed, and power. The fall of this alliance isn't just a political failure, it's the end of an illusion. The illusion that development could replace justice, that progress could replace accountability, that peace could exist without trust. And that is how the alliance between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, two brothers across the rift, finally collapsed.